Today we're going to talk about the new EQ pedal from Sonicake called the Tone Group, while also talking about 5 ways I like to use an EQ pedal. So the first and most common way I like to use an EQ pedal is in the effects loop of an amp, set up as a solo boost. Most EQ pedals have a level control, just like the Tone Group has, but it can be much more refined than just the volume boost. As well as boosting the volume, I like to boost frequencies that cut through the mix, specifically around 2K. I find boosting the level by a dB or two, pushing 2K, and maybe putting back on some of the lower frequencies is generally more than enough to push through a dense mix without annoying the sound engineer too much. The second way I like to use an EQ pedal is as a boost to tighten up the front end of an amp, almost like a more transparent and versatile tube screamer. As someone who has come from using dual and triple rectifiers for years, front end boosting can turn an amp from unusable to just the ultimate sound. And not all amps need this. You might not think any amp actually needs this, but since using the VH4 or an EVH 5153, I haven't felt the need for any kind of front end boost, but any rectifier type, PV 5150 or JCM 800 can really benefit from this idea, especially for more modern metalcore type tones. So I like to boost the level a significant amount, cut up to maybe 100 Hz and give a boost around 500 to 2K, maybe taking away some of that fizz by slightly cutting things above 8K, but play around with it, don't go too mad. Using this pedal in this way can really affect the feel of an amp, making it more compressed and easier to play. And while I've got your attention, please consider subscribing. I make videos like this all the time, and it's a really effective and free way of supporting what I do. Thank you. Number 3 is overall tone shaping. The most dramatic effects this pedal will have is when placed in the effects loop of an amp or after your overdrive and distortion pedals. A cool thing to do is put it in your effects loop and then play around boosting each one of the frequencies, trying to find those harsh, unpleasant frequencies and then reducing those EQ bands. But be careful, because some of those harsh sounds are quite important for cutting through when playing live with a band. I'd recommend doing this at gigging volume along with your band. If you find your amp is getting lost in the mix, then a bump in the mids and a reduction of low frequencies should generally help. This will usually be far more noticeable than just using the tone stack that's built into your amp. The fourth way I use an EQ pedal is to compensate when using different pickups. For example, if you switch live between humbucker guitars and single coil guitars, you'll find that to compensate for level drops and EQ differences, you'll be tweaking your amp's EQ and gain controls. If you've set your amp up for a sweet spot with single coils and then you switch to a Les Paul, you'll probably find that your settings will sound muddy and much louder. You can reduce the level and mids on the EQ to compensate for these changes. And the point isn't to get the guitars to sound the same, because otherwise, what's the point in using different guitars? It's to avoid having to adjust your amp mid-gig. There's already enough to worry about in a live situation. And the last way I like to use an EQ pedal is as a lo-fi AM radio or telephone effect. Going from a broken radio type sound to a full massive tone can be really cool live and add dramatic dynamics to a performance. I'm not sure if this is a genre specific use, but it definitely works especially well in pop punk or metal or heavy rock. It's a lot of fun. This pedal is under £40 in the UK and less than $50 or euros. It's transparent, well built and a good size. You could probably buy 3 or 4 of these for the price of an MXR 10 band. And let's face it, EQ pedals are a boring purchase when it comes to guitar pedals, only slightly more exciting than a tuner or a noise gate. And with everything set in the middle like this, it doesn't affect your tone in a negative way at all. So check this out. I'd recommend saving your money by buying one of these and putting the rest of your money into something a bit more fun. Sonicake also make a budget 4-in-1 effects unit that sounds great. It's called the Warps Dimension, and I made a video for it, which you can find just there. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know down below how you like to use EQ pedals, and I'll see you in the next video.